No, you are the reason everyone tunes in. That's right. We should call this the Steinbeck Show. So, not just the other day, but for some number of weeks, I've been using this camera a lot, the double film Show. I released a video manual about it earlier this year, and I'm in the process of taking photos with it so that I can do a full-on slideshow style review of this camera. And as I've been using it and thinking about all of the fairly harsh things that I would say about it in a review, I got an email from my photo lab. I sent them some rolls of film, and Laz emailed me and said, hey, one of your rolls of film came back. It had 3 scratches along the entire length of the roll of film. It looks like it's something that's inside your camera. So I looked at the scans, and it was from the double film Show. And couldn't find anything at all in the film path that would scratch the emulsion. So then I started developing my own film from it, and I had a roll of black and white, and I saw that the scratches were on the back of the film, not the emulsion, because this camera does not actually have a film pressure plate. Come on, open up. It's got these 5. It's got these 5 little ridges here that keep the film aligned on the focal plane. 3 of those ridges are within the image area of the film. And that's what was leaving the scratches on the film. And yeah, they do show up on the scans. And it got me to wondering, do all of them do that? Because obviously it's the only one I have. And I haven't used the Kodak or M35 or the Harman Sprite or the Harman reusable camera yet to know whether or not those are returning the same issue. Or quite honestly, if they even have those ridge style pressure plates. But then it got me to thinking, what if it's just my camera? And that got me to thinking even further about how incredibly unfair every single gear review on YouTube is. And the reason for that is because in general, the YouTube reviews have a sample size of 1. I'm not going to buy a second double film Show to find out whether or not those 3 lines are only because of the way that my camera was assembled, or if it's a problem that exists on all of them. When I review a lens, I'm not reviewing multiple versions of that lens. Generally speaking, there are going to be a few exceptions to that. I'm picking one up and I'm reviewing that. And I've watched other lens reviews and camera reviews, and most, by and large, are one item. And it doesn't matter, it's not just cameras. It's circular saw blades and things like that. Whatever it is, the vast majority of product reviews on YouTube are done with a sample size of 1. And that's incredibly unfair both to the manufacturers and to the people who are watching the reviews. Because if the person doing the review gets a bad example of that item, then their review is going to be based on a bad copy of it or bad version of it or whatever you want to call it. And that means that whatever they have to say is going to be perpetuated based on a single bad example. The converse is true. If they get a really good example that performs way better than the majority of that item, then people are going to expect better performance from that item than they might actually get. So that bakes into every single product review you will ever see on YouTube, almost every product review, an inherent bias that makes it completely unfair to judge the performance of an item based on that review. And then that got me thinking, what can we actually do about that? This is a problem that has a solution. Well, there are a couple of solutions. The easiest one, of course, is to check out multiple reviews of that piece of gear, assuming that piece of gear that there are multiple versions of that piece of gear that were tested, and see what experience other people had, and also to review, to read forum posts and articles and things like that about that piece of gear. The vast majority of gear, especially common gear, whether we're talking about a camera lens, that circular saw blade, a hammer, a car, whatever it is, a washing machine, doesn't matter. The majority of these pieces of equipment have multiple reviews from different people, and you can gauge from those reviews what kind of performance you're likely to expect. But what can we as reviewers do to make our reviews more unbiased? And one of the things that I do with my All About Film videos is I sit down and I test dozens upon dozens of rolls of film in different developer combinations and different dilutions. And I try to do more than one roll, though I don't always, in each of the different developer and dilution combinations, because that will let me know, did I have bad chemistry that day? Did I get a bad roll of film somehow that just didn't react to that chemistry or whatever? And so that's one thing that we as reviewers can do, is sit down and try to have multiple versions of the thing we're reviewing be part of that review. Well, that's really easy for a film review, which is one and done. A roll of film is what, $4 to $15, give or take, plus developing. If you do it at home, it's cheap. If you send it to a lab, it's not. But like a camera lens, if someone's going to review a $1,000 camera lens, who are we expecting to pick up 5 or 10 of those and compare them side by side? So even if somebody's reviewing a super cheap 28 millimeter lens, are they really going to go out of their way to find 5 or 10 of those? And what is a really good sample size for a piece of equipment to ascertain whether or not they're actually performing well, and what the sample variation is, and all those different questions that are well beyond the scope of this video. The point that I'm going to make here is this. As a gear reviewer myself, I do my best to test equipment fairly and comprehensively. I think most reviewers want to have their reviews be fair and comprehensive. And most reviewers, I like to think, do the best that they can to deliver on that objective. But unfortunately, like I said, every single gear review that you will see is unfair, because the vast, vast majority of them are based on a sample size of one or very few, and that's used to make a determination about the performance of an entire thing. So the best thing that can happen for reviews is for you as the person watching to check multiple people's reviews and have a library of similar reviewers who you trust to go to when they release videos. And, always read reviews before you actually buy a thing. So, at any rate, that's my video for today. It was just kind of thinking about reviews this weekend and how I make mine even better, continual improvement and things like that, and try to make them as fair as possible so that you guys watching them know that you're going to get a quality review, and that the content that I produce is fair and accurate to the review, to the company that made the equipment, whether it's new or used. So at any rate, one other thing, let me know also if the video quality in this video looks a little bit better. I've changed up lenses for these for a while. I had been using the Yashica 45mm 1.7 that I adapted off of a GSN for my A7S II. I've switched over to a Canon FDN 35mm 2.8 because I want to use that for my video manuals and see how it works, because I have a macro focusing adapter for that, which should make it a really useful lens for video manuals. But let me know if the image quality looks better or worse to you guys as you're viewing this video with this new lens. Have a good day, everybody, and I will see you in the next Cameras and Coffee. Right, Steinbeck? No, it is way too hot for you to go outside today. Yes, it's going to be like 98 today. You will burn your little tootsies on the pavement. You're a good boy.